Welcome back, friends, to the Grace Filled podcast. Today, I have a treat for you. The one and only Sally Clarkson is joining us today. Sally is a best-selling author, renowned speaker, a beloved mentor who has dedicated her life to inspiring countless women to live for Christ. She has an amazing podcast. She has been married to her husband, Clay, for more than 40 years. They have raised 4 adult children, and today Sally lives between the mountains of Colorado and the rolling fields of England. I can't imagine. Both of those places are dreamy. So welcome, Sally. We are so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. This is really a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, you have a huge following and an amazing ministry spanning decades. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to our friends here online and share about your ministry.
Okay. Um, I, a lot of what you said, I have 4 adult children. I am kind of a dreamer, out of the box, thinker. And somebody knocked on my dorm room door when I was a freshman in college and um, very clearly shared the love of God with me. And it was like sunshine in my heart. And so from there, I worked with a student ministry, worked at the University of Texas for a couple of years, eventually lived overseas and worked in communist countries. And always hoping, well, is there somebody who's going to love me and marry me? He did. He prayed for 6 years that would end up in the same city, and we did.
Oh,
And
where is that city? Where did you guys
we
meet?
ended up in Denver,
Okay. Wow.
and eventually went back overseas. We have a crazy story, but we had our 4 children. We were idealistic in every way. We educated them at home and all over the world. And now 3 of the 4 of them are living in the United Kingdom, in Oxford and in St. Andrews. And then one of our sons is a film producer in California. So they're our best friends, and we kind of go between the two and occasionally come home to our dog, our golden retriever, Darcy, who lives in
Oh,
Colorado. So
oh, golden retrievers are the best. We had a retriever for years. Oh, we miss her. Those are the best dogs ever.
aren't they great? What I should probably say is my heart is really to mentor and encourage women in their faith, in the role of home, the role of motherhood, family, friendship. I just love to come alongside them in a culture that seems a little bit opposed to some of the ideals that many of us carry.
And you are known for being a mentor in all of those areas, faith and family and friendship, especially hospitality.
Mm.
We're just lucky to have you here. So,
Thank you. I think
yeah,
we're
so
kindred
something
spirits.
that we do have in common is that we both love tea and tea
Oh,
time and the
fun.
hospitality of tea
Yeah.
time. So why is that important to you? And even for those of us that it's important to, it's hard to make time for that. So speak a little bit to that.
It's funny. I just in the past few days, I have been researching for another project, and I've been finding all of these English authors and um, people from Europe and people from France who have had stopped for tea time, or in Austria they called it Jause, for decades. I mean, for centuries.
Hmm.
And I think that it was what I cut my teeth on as a young woman when I lived in Europe, and then eventually moved to Oxford for 5 years. And I think that we're such a hurry up, try to accomplish, trying to impress people culture. And I think it's not sustainable. And I meet so many women who started out with ideals and I'm going to do this and accomplish this. And then there is a point at which they become discouraged, overwhelmed. I think we need a sustainable life. We
Hmm.
need the sacredness of a peaceful moment,
Hmm.
of enjoying the children who are in your home, or having a friend over and looking into their eyes and saying, I am so glad you're here. How
Hmm.
have you been? And asking them about their story. And so it really was the way that civilized our own home in the midst of all the chaos. We would have tea time every day.
Hmm.
And so I just thought, I want women to take a breath. I
Hmm.
want them to create just a sense of beauty and goodness and peace in their home, and enjoy themselves and enjoy their people in
Hmm.
spite of all of the rest of the activities and work they have to do. So just that, and wanting them to maybe even develop friendships over tea time so
Mhm.
that they would have their own encouragers that they had
Mhm.
developed through invitation.
Mhm.
Sounds like you do a lot of the same thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I do tea every afternoon, but mine isn't necessarily like a hospitality thing. It's kind of by myself. So
Well, most of
kind
mine
of
lately
selfish
isn't
like
either.
that.
Yeah.
So how much time do you devote to that? When you schedule that out in the afternoon, is it just random, whatever works, or?
Well, we are diehards. I have my own tea time every morning, have for many, many, many years. And I light my candles, I put on my music, you know, and I have if I can start my day that way,
Mhm.
read my Bible, do whatever. Sometimes I just sit and ponder.
Mhm.
Um, so I do that at the very beginning.
Mhm.
And then at 2:30 or 3 at this point in Colorado, my husband and I get together every day about
Mhm.
3:30 or 4. Each of us have our own favorite kind of tea. They're different.
Mhm.
And we just sit together sometimes for 15 minutes, sometimes for 30. But it is a daily touch base, be friends. What have you been doing today?
Mhm.
What's going on? And if he's not here, I enjoy it all the more because
Yes.
I get to have a little bit of time to gather myself. So it is every single day. And every Sunday, we have a more Saturdays and Sundays if people are in the house with us, our
Mhm.
children, or their children.
Mhm.
Um, we all expect to have tea time
Mhm.
at 3:30 or 4. It's a funny thing, but once it becomes a ritual, it kind of, you can't quit. You can't
Yeah,
not have
they'll hold you
tea.
to
Yeah.
it. I love that. I love that. So, in your latest book, which I have just truly enjoyed having,
Oh, good.
you have a quote in there, and I want to share it. I just love it. And you stated, I have lived in tiny apartments and sprawling old houses, and I have found that beauty expressed through your own design is what makes a home. Sometimes a little candlelight in a cozy room is all you need to create a place of rest and a sense of heaven.
Mhm.
So, speak to some of our audience that are self conscious about their apartment or their home. They don't think it's clean enough or they don't think it's big enough to have someone over. Speak to that.
I think that developing home is an attitude of your heart.
Mhm.
It's kind of a heart that says welcome. It might help people to know that we have moved 24 times,
Wow.
9 times internationally. And even the place that I live in the UK right now, in Oxford, it's not my favorite place I've ever lived, but I have this group of women that I mentor, and um, they can't fit in my living room. It's 22 of us.
Mhm.
And so I figured out a way to put a couch in my kitchenette. It's kind of a table, and we crowd around. I have bought 10 folding chairs.
Mhm.
It's not, it's not the most glamorous place you've ever been, but we have so much fun. We have become friends over the last 3 years. We just like to crowd in, and if I make a big pot of chili, so I've learned. And my girls, when they were in Oxford, they lived in this terrible old place, but every Monday night they would have their friends over for chocolate and wine, and
Oh,
they
I
would
love it.
all sit on the bed. So we kind of learned, and I think a lot of it was because we lived in, you know, great places and maybe a little bit poorer places. We learned that home is where you say welcome, light a candle, and love the people that are around you. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It does not have to be fancy. It's
Mhm.
just the heart of, I love people and I want you to be my friend.
Mhm. That is so important. That is one of my main messages too. It's ditching that perfection, not worrying about what things look like or is this Pinterest worthy, but it's more about the relationships. And that's a struggle. It's hard to get past all that when we're on all these apps and things that show these beautiful displays. But so many times it's truly just the relationships. And I love that that's your focus in it.
Well, I think someone once said to me that, that pendulum that swings on those big grandfather
Mhm.
clocks, it's only balanced at one point. It's constantly moving toward chaos or towards order. But I think that if we do, I love the verse that says, where there are many oxen, this where there are no oxen, the stall is clean,
Mhm.
implying that where there are many oxen, the stall is never clean.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I finally had to realize that when I have in the house children, people, family, there's going to be a constant eating, talking, chaos a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, we all were probably meant to be queens.
Mhm.
Something got mixed up. And so I do love going to a very beautiful, lovely place that someone else has made and that someone else cooks for us. Not that we can't have that or do that once in a while, but it doesn't have to determine the joy that we have.
Mhm. That's so good. So good.
Mm.
So good. So you have been a wonderful mentor to so many when it comes to connection between women, even different generations, family, and friendships. Many of these relationships, you keep strong ties across even the countries you were just talking about, and even the continents. For women here online that are wanting those types of connections, but they don't have them,
Mhm.
what do you recommend for them? What are like the first steps if they're just sitting there kind of in their own world by themselves, but they want that life of connection? What are the
You know,
steps?
my connection probably looks better than it is in that, because for instance, in Oxford, I mainly work with people who are about 40 years younger than me.
Mhm,
Um, and, I had to invite them in my home. They didn't know who I was.
mhm,
I think it starts with the willingness to reach out.
mhm,
And then, something important in learning to be a friend is imagine tennis. Someone has to hit the ball back.
mhm,
In other words, to be a good friend, it's a willingness to put yourself out there, whether you say on Facebook, is anybody in my group or my reading group or my school group or whatever, would anybody like to just come over for a night and we'll have a good little meal, or we can all bring treats and be friends, and or a Bible study or whatever. Um, there has to be initiation and willingness to respond.
mhm,
And I think that many of us feel like I'm too tired. I can't add one more thing.
mhm,
But even this week, I just got back from Oxford because it's on spring break right now, and con I made a concerted effort to get together with the 5 women that I know the best, and they're all different ages and stuff. I got together with them individually, and I noticed, just how encouraged I was.
mhm,
We have spent, some years together, hosting things, reaching out to people, doing Bible studies, being friends, watching our children grow up. But now, after all these years, even though we have different personalities, it's the history and the reaching out and the doing it again and inviting someone in that
mhm,
began the friendships that are now the basic fundamental strength of my life.
mhm,
And if you haven't ever experienced that growing up, really, you just need to know that most people in the world want to be loved and want to be invited in. So
mhm,
if you don't hit the jackpot the first time,
mhm,
just keep looking for people and find it. You can meet at a cafe. It doesn't really matter. But I was reading an article that said that after COVID, more mothers are committing suicide
okay,
and more mothers are addicted to drugs than ever in the history of our country because they were so isolated and they have carried with them a little bit of loneliness and depression. And so I kind of wanted to write the book as an anecdote or an antidote to a little bit fight against that and give people ideas of how they could reach out in friendship.
mhm. That's so good. That's so good. In a world of social media and technology, many of the relationships, and through COVID that you just mentioned, are so surface and shallow. Like we have this list on our social media of friends, but we never really have met them or we don't really talk off a line.
Right.
The deep and the strong relationships, they take a lot of time and energy. And if, as women, we're nurturers, and if we're in those deep relationships that are strong, it is exhausting and we take on other people's burdens. Uh,
Mhm.
how can we stay and helpful and connected without feeling like the weight of the world is on our shoulders? I just remember coming home from Bible studies that used to be at my church. We had them on Tuesday mornings. And I would come home, I felt like I needed to take a nap because we had prayer request time, and like I just felt the weight of the world of these, 20 women. We would go around and we would hear their stories, and everyone's hurting, and these are major issues, some health, some finance, some husbands. Um, and I just kind of took it on. So speak to that a little bit about how we can be so connected, but not
Mhm.
take on, be helpful and pray, but just not feel the weight of it.
I think I have to fight against that all the time. I am a feeler, a deep feeler. I see all these terrible things happening in the world. Oddly, my tea times are where I center myself, like you said, when you're by yourself.
Mhm,
Um, but though I do a lot online, I do a lot with my podcast and stuff. I really limit. I read the book Boundaries a number of years ago. It really helped me a lot because I finally realized even though I feel compassion for many people, um, I needed to name the people that were central to my life that
mhm,
also agreed with my profession
mhm,
and my stewardship of my family. And I think that I can do large group things and I can do my podcasts and mentoring and all that. But I had to years ago learn that I cannot take on all the people. I can't even take in, it sounds like you're a very compassionate person too.
mhm, mhm,
And we all have different personalities. I am oddly an extreme introvert.
mhm,
And so I can only take so much stimulation.
mhm,
I think that the older you get, the more you can realize what your personality can take. And so I really focused that I can consider in my mind my public ministry almost as my work that God has called me to.
mhm,
But then I have a small group of people that I've cultivated over time that know me, know my warts.
mhm,
Um, we have built history. We watched our children make mistakes together. We've supported each other. And so there's only a few people that I can really cultivate deep relationships
mhm,
over a long period of time. And you're right. We can't take on the world.
mhm,
And so it's a constant issue of setting your priorities.
mhm,
What are you called to do? What can you realistically give to? And
mhm.
then limiting that and not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah,
There are times that we have to overwork,
right.
obviously. But
Mhm. That's good. That is
I'd love
good.
to know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, I
What
think
have you come up with?
that is wisdom. That is definitely wisdom. And as you're saying that, I'm just sitting here thinking of, Jesus had his 12. He didn't have.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he ministered and worked and prayed for all the masses, huge numbers.
Mhm.
But like his tight group was pretty small, and and then he even had kind of a subgroup inside of that. So I
You're
think
so right. Yeah.
you're very wise in that, and sometimes we just need to evaluate that. And I'm an extreme introvert as well, and most people don't know that. But
No, you don't seem
if,
like it.
yeah, different seasons, maybe if you have little ones at home, you have less to give out in the world, and as they move on, I think seasons can change that as well. But I think you have some good wisdom there to share. I need to take it.
Well, it's kind of, it's a both and. Yes, I want women to understand that friends are out there and that they need friends. And also, you can't meet everybody's needs and still have peace at home.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yes, that's so good. That's so good. I would love just to share, and I know this could be a 2 hours in itself. I would love for you to just share your love for the Lord and your relationship, or how you came to know him, and that.
well, I'm glad you asked that question. I feel like I talk about it too much in that it was obviously a turning point for me, but I had grown up I had grown up going to church and all, but by the time I was in high school, I thought, I think if you knew the God who threw stars into place, your life would be different. And
Mhm,
I think Christians should love more or be more intelligent or be more excellent, whatever. So I was, pushing against all that I'd ever been thinking or taught. I went out of state to school and I literally was in my 10th floor dorm room. I looked so happy on the outside. But I was praying, if there is a God in the universe, will you please let me know you? Because I felt like no matter what I did was never going to be enough. I didn't feel, deeply validated inside. I was trying hard to please everyone. And this sweet woman who was very shy, I got to know her a little bit later, came to my dorm room door one afternoon when no one was in the hall, knocked on my door, and shared a survey with me, a Christian survey to try to open the door. And then she shared the Christ with me and that his love, his forgiveness. And I thought, it was like sunshine in my heart, because I thought, oh, someone knows me and they still love me. That was amazing. And then over a period of the next few weeks, somebody started meeting with me and mentoring me, and they said, now you go gather your friends together and tell them what I've been telling you. Well, I did. And so I fell in love with discipleship. I felt like if other people's lives could be as transformed as my heart is, because it was such an affirmation to know that I was loved. Then I will do whatever you want me to do, Lord. I will go anywhere, do anything. And so that's even a little bit of why I wrote my book now. I just can't wait to see him face to face, but also I know that other people were like me, by myself, longing to know that there is a God in the universe, that he actually is good and just and loves us. And so I have spent the rest of my life focusing on what it looks like to open those doors for people, and then to give them the ability to grow forward and to experience God's grace. And so I just feel like it's such a privilege to do what I do. And then I come back home an introvert.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. That's a beautiful story. I love that. And
Mhm.
how, someone else helped you and now you turn around and you're helping,
Well,
thousands and
the
thousands.
thing I want to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was a glitch in my computer. Um, Afterwards, the girl who shared Christ with me, she's kind of shy, wonderful, went into missions eventually, but she said, you just didn't look like the type. And I said, like what type? And she said, well, you didn't look like the type who would want to be a Christian.
What,
And
what does
I
that
thought, what does
mean?
that mean? And she said, well, you looked happy, you looked like you had your life together. And I realized that, and that's even a part of what we all need to know in reaching out to people. Um, People don't wear a sign that tells them what's going on in their heart, but we can assume that everyone that we meet in the world, barring some terrible evil people or something, and even they used to, they long for love and affirmation and purpose. And it's when we open our homes, as an introvert, I'm a little bit shy. So when I open my home and give someone a cup of tea, it's just a natural thing to be able to say, I would love to know your story. And I can tell them my story. So it doesn't have to be something scary. It can be something beautiful and natural and loving,
That's
if
so
that makes sense.
so good. And the simplicity of it, I love that. I love that. So your beautiful book, Tea Time Discipleship, you are such an encourager. And I
Oh,
don't know if do you have the book with you that you can
I
show our
do.
friends that
I,
are
I did. Where'd it go? Oh, I've got it under my computer. Couldn't find it.
Okay, that is so beautiful. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see it. If not, you can
It
go
has
look it up.
pictures. It's a picture book, just like for kids.
Yes, I
Um,
just love that it has so many beautiful pictures of tea time and relationships and beautiful teapots and recipes, all of that. And I'm wondering if, okay, there was a page in there and I can read it or you can read it. Page 33. You have a couple of quotes in there. And I'm throwing this at you. I should have chatted with you before I
oh,
brought this up.
I'm
But
happy
page
that you actually read it.
Oh,
That's
I
wonderful.
did. I couldn't put it down. It was so good. I was so excited when I got it. And okay, yeah. So it's page 33. If you're comfortable, if you're not, I can read it.
Do you want to, or do you want me to?
I would rather you read it just because
Great.
it's so profound and so powerful and it's so concise and it's short, but the things that you say in there, if we could just get this,
Mm.
Get it. So I would love, if you're comfortable, for you to read that page, because it's very short, but it's just beautiful.
Thank you so much. If you're a woman who's too hard on herself, let me affirm you in the work that you do. You are making a difference in this world. Your work is eternal. Don't give up what you are doing ever, ever, ever. But take a break. You are exactly the one to live your story well. Find your anchor. Create space in your life where you can have a few minutes alone each day, a time when no one wants anything and no task is accomplished. Just a few moments to breathe. Make a habit of spending time in God's Word daily. Place spiritually uplifting books near a chair you sit in so that reading even just a bit of inspiration is easy to do.
Mm, that is so, so good. If we can get all of that, I mean, you're hitting everything in just that short little paragraph, reading the
Yeah,
Bible, taking a breath, not getting discouraged. I mean, that's powerful stuff right there. That's just beautiful, beautiful,
thank
beautiful.
you.
I love it. I love it. So, where can our friends find you online? What is your favorite social media right now?
Well, I actually I love Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and because I love to see pictures of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can find me on Instagram at Sally.Clarkson.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually have Sally Clarkson too from many years ago, but I don't know the password.
I hate when that happens.
So, and my favorite thing that I do is podcasting, and
Uh-huh.
that would be at uh, I have so many Sally things.
Mhm.
At Home with Sally.
At Home with Sally is your podcast, and that is you have a huge following with that. That is
I am
amazing.
I'm so surprised, but literally, if I'm in my pajamas, no one knows.
Mhm.
If I'm and my dog Darcy comes in and barks. I mean, I love the fact that it can, for me, it's just a place to be friends with people and to share my heart and to encourage.
Yes.
I
And
love
so,
that means more than anything.
oh, yes, yes. And they can find that. I'm assuming you're on all the Apples and Spotify and all that, but they can also find that through your website, right?
Yes, at sallyclarkson.com.
Okay, wonderful. And your book is at anywhere you can, they're selling books,
I
Amazon, all
believe
the
so. I
places.
know it's on Amazon, but I also know that it's in many, many other bookstores and Barnes and Noble and um, Christian book distributors, and I don't know where else. But
Yes.
I have price books. I'm not good at details, but I
Yes.
think they're out there.
All the places. So it is,
Yeah.
I just encourage our friends here online. It is a beautiful, I think it would be a great Mother's Day
Oh,
uh
I do too. I'm so
too.
glad you said that.
Oh, with all the tea time, and you have some wonderful recipes in there that I'm gonna try. I haven't tried them yet. But I think it's gonna be, I think my mother's, well, I better not say that because she listens.
She might be listening.
She might be listening here. So I think it's a great Mother's Day gift. So, Sally, thank you for coming on. What a joy, what an inspiration you are. I appreciate your mentorship just to Christian women across the world. So, blessings to you. I'm excited for your book to come out, and I know it's going to be a huge blessing to those that get it.
Well, I am it's such a privilege to be with you, and I know that we're going to have fun if our paths ever cross.
Oh, yes. We
And
need to
I
make that
can't
happen.
Well, I know, and I can't wait for all of my friends to hear about your life because it was so much fun to also receive your beautiful book. And tell
Yeah.
us the name of your beautiful book.
Oh, mine is the Grace Filled Homestead. So lessons
It's
learned on faith, family, and the farm. So we do have a lot of similarities and kind of a similar message going on here. So I love having guests on that just what I think totally get it,
Yeah.
and it's in
They
alignment
get
with
us.
what we're doing over here. So that's wonderful. Well, thank you,
Thank you
Sally.
so
I
much for
appreciate
letting me
it.
be
Have a
here.
great evening. Thanks for coming on.